of the poor, and that satisfies, at least partly, that satisfies the biblical concern that people who are Christians who have this interest in equity and justice. It satisfies at least partly their concern for unjust structures, right? Unjust structures in the so-called justice system, which are oppressive of the widow and the orphan. Those are the two categories of people that Christian folk know have God's special protection and special favor. So if there's a bill or a system or a structure that oppresses these categories of people, then they should be overturned, and that is what happened in California with the signing of the bill yesterday. Now here in Chattanooga, we have Justin Whaley, the entrepreneur. He is a military man, and as I say, he runs this deep range, dead zero shooting park. I'm sorry, I was saying the wrong word. Dead zero shooting park in Spencer, and so police love this guy. And why is he given such favor? Well, I'm not. Let me just say that his attorney's statement, Lee Davis' statement, explains really what this is about. And Davis says there was no special treatment for Justin Whaley. And the writers in the press were rightly asking this question, which I asked a couple of weeks ago in the first story, to raise the question about the long time it took for the case to be made in court. But apparently the delay was not necessarily in favor of Justin Whaley. It was the delay was in the DUI test, which apparently takes a very long time. He was treated fairly, Davis says, as all men and women should be treated when faced with an accusation made by government. Justin Whaley has been cooperating with the investigation since the tragic accident occurred. He called 911. Now this is interesting. He remained at the scene and spent hours with police at the scene of the accident. He was not charged with a crime on July the 3rd or any time during the past 2 months. And the widow, Jamie, has been in just absolute grief over this delay. And in her mind, I did meet her, and I did have some communications with her. In her mind, she was in danger. The fact that police weren't doing anything indicated that she personally was in jeopardy, because the police were letting this man who had killed someone, effectively in cold blood, out about without stopping him. And I'm trying to figure out why that is, and I think I have an answer. It touches on the statute under which Justin Whaley is being prosecuted. He's being prosecuted not under the criminal statutes in Title 39, but in the transportation statute. The death was a transportation issue, right? So all the charges are filtered through the transportation and travel and commercial rules that are in that title. All the charges are transportation charges. And so he spent hours at the scene with police. He was not charged. Last night, after the courts closed, Saudi Daisy police approached a sessions court judge and obtained a bond of $600,000 against him, a man with no criminal record. Today, Gary Gerbitz and I, former DA Gary Gerbitz and I, appropriately asked for a review of that bond, a bond that we believed was excessive, as soon as the courthouse opened this morning. Again, we're hearing here from Lee Davis, the attorney. Justin Whaley turned himself in to Hamilton County deputies today. It is appropriate for lawyers, he says, to seek reasonable bond on warrants. All people are presumed innocent. A bond is not punishment, he says. It is to be set so that a court is assured that the person will come to court and to safeguard the public. So in other words, your bond is high if it's thought that you will be a danger to other members of the public. And here a man has, after drinking all night with a friend, in fact, spending the night away from his regular home and his family, to not be on the road. He was careful not to be on the road, but he did get on the road that morning before light, I believe it was, and was going north the wrong way on 27 up on 111 there, just past the divide where it splits, and hit James Brumlow, a man who was a very tech-oriented man, works in I think Vacker Chemical, killed him, not instantly, but I think James Brumlow was deceased, before he arrived by ambulance to the hospital. We asked Judge Barry Steelman to review the bond and set a reasonable bond and with appropriate conditions of release. That is what happened today. So that's Lee Davis explaining what happened in the hearing yesterday. Now, the district attorney is upset, and the district attorney objected, Malia Kluwel tells me, to the fact that he had only 45 minutes notice of this bond change petition hearing before criminal court Judge Steelman. And so he did object. He did object not, I think, to the reduction itself, but to the process that denied him time to not just make contact with the family, which he did, and the family members were at the hearing, but also to review the law and to get his affairs together. He had 45 minutes, and that is simply not enough time by way of notice of a hearing where something like that is set from where a decision is made by the judge, petitions made and argued, is $300,000 proper bond for Justin Whaley, the businessman who had been drinking and who was not perhaps in his right mind when he went down the highway the wrong way at high speeds. If the cars are going 60 miles an hour, you have a collision effectively of a car hitting a wall at 120 miles an hour, right? That's the combined speeds. And the pickup truck in which Mr. Whaley was badly damaged, ruined, but he walked away. And the other man, Mr. Brumlow, was so trapped in the bent steel that gnarled in and around him that he had to be pulled out from that wreck with the jaws of life. Now, this is David Toulis and bail bond in California. A very important story, and we hope to find out from Neil Pinkston what his views are, and can we have reform? I've asked Lydia Kluwel about this, and I want to ask more. What can be done here locally, or what can be done statewide to end this abusive process of bond that oppresses the poor? Justin Whaley can handle it, but most people who are common folks like you, my listener, maybe not. David Toulis.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
For the first time ever, Tennessee reached a tourism milestone. Visitors to Tennessee spent over $20 billion last year. Governor Haslam announced the record numbers, saying as part of the record-breaking year, nearly $2 billion in local and state sales tax were collected, something Tennessee relies heavily on since there's no state income tax. Found safe, the 4 children that were kidnapped in Lima, Ohio, had all eyes on communities along I-75, possibly headed to Florida, including Chattanooga. Police have arrested their non-custodial mother and her boyfriend. They hadn't traveled very far as they were found in Ohio. And there's a new recall involving Volkswagen. According to the NTSB, Volkswagen recalling 8,416 Atlas SUVs and Passat sedans because the brake caliper bracket mounting bolts may have not been tightened sufficiently. The recall on the Chattanooga-made vehicles expected to begin October 14th. Val St. John for Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News Now.
Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now. Chattanooga Mocs volleyball team allowed a weekend high 44 kills and a .386 attacking percentage during their weekend loss to SEC member Tennessee on the final day of the Tennessee Classic inside Thompson Bowling Arena. UTC drops to 1-2 on the season. Tennessee improves to 3-0 and capturing the 2018 Tennessee Classic tournament crown. UTC will host their annual Chattanooga Classic tournament this coming weekend, August 31st and September 1st inside McClellan Gym. University of Tennessee Chattanooga sophomore place kicker Victor Elmo has been named to the Fred Mitchell Award watch list. The outstanding place kicker award is provided to the nation's top collegiate place kicker among more than 750 FCS Division II, Division III, NAIA, and NJCAA football teams. He was a member of the Southern Conference All-Freshman team last season after hitting 9 out of 12 field goals and was 22 of 23 on PATs. Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
The kids are back in school, routine has returned, and we've shifted our thoughts to the fast approaching holiday season. Are you hosting? Want to spruce up before your guests arrive? Whether you want new color and exciting wallpaper or elegant window treatments, the designers at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating can help. With brands like York, Tebow, Graber, and Carroll, we know you'll find something you love. Stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today. It's really more than just a paint store. On Hicks and Pike, across from Valvoline, or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com.
Wow, Triumph Spitfire. I haven't seen one of those in ages. Boy, is it gorgeous.
Thanks. It was my grandfather's. Drives like a dream.
Where do you go to keep it up?
Rivermont Pure. I never thought I'd find a place, but they specialize in older and European cars. They get the hard-to-find parts and treat me right every time.
Rivermont Pure?
Yeah, they're on Hicks and Pike across from Lupton Drive. I found them online at rivermontpureservice.com.
Rivermont Pure, import or domestic. If it rolls, they work it.
Hey, Karen, you need me for that 1 o'clock?
Yes, Cheese, please. Karen, did you get the quarterlies done? Yep, they're filed in the cabinet.
Karen, can you describe the initiatives to the new hire? Thanks.
Oh, sure. Full-bodied, some floral notes, maybe a hint of dark chocolate.
Am I in the right department?
Got wine on the mind? Come unwind at Virgola. Italian wine, oysters, caviar, cheeses, and more. Perfect after work or a romantic date night. Virgola Italian Wine Bar, 608 Georgia Avenue.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need AMCO Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. AMCO Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
I got my business up and running, and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart, not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
Expect partly cloudy, hot, and humid weather out there for your afternoon. A few isolated showers and storms, though, will pop up. Highs upper 80s to near 90 tonight. A lingering shower or storm possible through midnight. Lows 70 to 72, with scattered showers and storms a little more likely for Thursday and Friday. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm Storm Sheets, well, Chief Meteorologist at your core.
The radio 92.7.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Toulis.
I'm always at the Panera Bread store Friday morning at 6:30 for early breakfast with the gang at Panera Posse. We round up the bad guys and we put the money back in the bank. That's our theme. But I've got a new thing I'm trying out. You know, I don't really know a lot about sports, but being around sports people, I think, will make me a better person and make me more forgiving, more tolerant, more gracious, because those are not my natural inclinations. Especially when I think about sports teams and all the culture of sports that seems to be such an important and valuable use of Americans' time. And I'm glad that they are concerned about and even obsessed over team ratings and coaches and players and things like that. Those are very, very important. And I really want Americans not to worry about things that concern me, like justice, free markets, the gold and silver return, the debt bubble, things like, the growth Ponzi scheme in Chattanooga. We really don't need to be talking about that too much, right? So we want to temper our interest. We want to show ourselves to be broad and kind of capacious, right? We want to be big people. And I'm the guy who reads Gibson Suits and Chancery in the bathroom, okay? And there's a guy who does that has seriously got some serious problems. And so you can trust me to do that on your behalf, right? I read legal things. I read court cases and legal theories, articles for your benefit, because I think I might be able to help you. If just talking with you might be enough to just get you going in the right direction. And that's what I want to do. And the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. You call that number, and if I can help you on anything, I will certainly do that. 800-8949. And I'm going to be available Friday morning at 6:30 if you want to meet me there. But also Thursday, I'm going to be tuning in and sitting around with the Gridiron Gang, every Thursday at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. Keon Rose, our own Keon Rose, Nick LaFew, others will be broadcasting, guess what? High school football. And you can join us, join them, ask questions, take part in the conversation. There'll be some specials for you at the local Starbucks at 10 North every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock to 9 p.m. The Gridiron Gang Show. And, I may even listen in a little bit and learn something about sports that I didn't know before. Maybe even learn which ball is being thrown around now, the round ball or the long ball. I mean, I'm not really sure which it is. So I will certainly be open-minded to that. Now, there's a question that we want to touch on about the marketplace, and that is do we have and I'm trying to find the right words to describe the aura that makes a city, a county prosper. Can we have more prosperity, more capital, more capitalization in Chattanooga? What are the hindrances to it? Well, we know that there are grave hindrances just in the fact that we have a tax structure that is, I would say, abusive. And in fact, there is an article in Forbes that highlights just how bad it is, and it says that Americans pay more in taxes than for housing, food, and clothing combined. Now that is suppressive. So if I'm leading my way to say, well, that we have warrior cops in Chattanooga who shoot at a man 3 times after he's fired the lethal suicide bullet. One of the cop bullets actually hits this individual in the leg as he is mortally wounded or actually dead already. Is that the idea of the warrior cop and the effect, what seems to be in many ways across the country, an occupation, a military occupation of a civilian people, violative in many respects of the Posse Comitatus Act, which prohibits federal armies from being quartered and being armed among the people, right? That's what that act does. It prevents there from being a military occupation, a martial law here in East Ridge, Chattanooga, Red Bank, Saudi Daisy, and many points beyond in our state and in our country. But those are, I'm going to suggest, to some degree oppressive of this entrepreneurial capital creating spirit, especially in areas which are already affected by other inhibitors toward capitalization and risk taking. Right? If you're an entrepreneur, you're taking risks. You put money on the line. You put money out, not knowing that you'll be able to get it back. Right? You put money out for employees. You put money out for rents of your business. You put money out for supplies, for stock in your trade, and for advertising. Right? You put money into my radio station to advertise your wares and your business. That's all money that you may not get back, right? If you don't have the right idea, or if you don't have the right connection with the market, you have ill-conceived your market. So policing is suppressive of that, I would like to suggest. But here, Forbes is telling us that it's actually much bigger, and that would be taxation. In 2016, Americans were paying 20% more for their federal, state, and local taxes than their housing, food, and clothing combined. And that is from the Tax Foundation, which is, of course, a nonpartisan tax research organization. It would tend to be conservative, right? If you're talking about taxes, you tend to have a conservative free market bearing, because you are able to evaluate the totality of the burden from multiple claims passed all up and down, all through the economy, layer after layer, parties passing it on and hoping to reduce costs as much as possible, and yet having the high burden of taxation. David Toole is here. Love your neighbor and buy local. That's my slogan. It's not trademarked, and you can take anything I say and use it. Nothing is trademarked, and it's all free here every day. 92.7 FM, live on Facebook, by the way, at Nooga Radio, and we're also live on YouTube. Your late model television set has a YouTube channel, and you can watch us there. I'd recommend going to the Great Censor for now, Facebook, and tuning in there, because there I'm looking right at you. Right on YouTube, we've moved our camera, and we have kind of a bird's eye view of the studio. In 2016, according to this essay, which moved just a couple of days ago. This is not fresh material. I'm sorry, but there are these other. It's not a current piece that I picked up, but still there are. If you want to bear with the data being not fresh, $1.6 trillion on food, $2.1 trillion in housing, and $360 billion on clothing, totaling $4.5 trillion. But the tax bill, again, this is not current. The tax bill will be almost, and where I have not assembled my pages correctly, will be very, very high here. You can call me. The number is 800-894-9800, 8949. And the federal taxes then were $3.3 trillion and $1.6 trillion in state and locals, for a total tax bill of $4.9 trillion, or 31% of the national income. And that I would say, I would grant, is where you have your suppression of the spirit of capitalism and risk taking. That is where you have it. But now there is the problem, if you will, of the suppression of the warrior cop problem and the court system, which damages specifically the poor the most. I'm thinking of Keila Jackson. I'm thinking of others like Malik Sanford, for example, who works as a T-Mobile, had a traffic encounter, and I will make a point of trying to keep tabs with him. My suggestion to him is make discovery now. Make aggressive discovery. And the one who has really done that in a very remarkable way, in a praiseworthy way, is Constance Giles in Whitfield County. She has been, I would say, a model of the kind of person you, my listener, should be, where it really matters, and you're not going to take it lying down, even if it is just a small fine. If there's something unjust about it, you have to fight. If you go to Newgonomics.com today, our sponsor, you can see an essay by John Whitehead of the Rutherford Institute, and he's asking the question about the warrior cop, and the story out of Sunday's news cycle about one of Chief David Roddy's officers serving Mayor Andy Burke. Right, these officers all served Mayor Andy Burke. There are $73 million budget and 500 sworn officers. And when they say sworn officers, that means they're swearing to uphold the Constitution. Okay, they're swearing to uphold the law and the Constitution. And we know at several points that that's not happening. And it's not, apparently, it may be of concern to you, my listener, but you are a very unusual person. You, my listener, join me every day here, and it's just us two, right? I think probably 99.99% of the other people are all around you that you can see left and right of you right now. They don't care about these things, and they're not really thinking about, well, how can we improve our civic life, maybe the godly life, right here in Chattanooga, so that we have more justice, less oppression, and a more open market spirit, which we have the tax system to worry about oppressing, and then we also have these warrior cop problems. There's a researcher at Princeton named Jonathan Mumolo, and he has a study that is mentioned this morning at Newgonomics.com that says that militarizing police and SWAT teams provide no detectable benefits in terms of officer safety or violent crime reduction. So in other words, having a SWAT team to serve a warrant on someone does not increase officer safety, and it doesn't reduce violent crime. He says that Americans are feeling less safe because of the process of transforming police departments into extensions of the military. The people don't trust them as much. They are not as popular, and the people feel less safe. The study, the first systematic analysis on the use and consequences of militarized force, reveals that police militarization neither reduces rates of violent crimes nor changes the number of officers assaulted or killed. In other words, warrior cops aren't making things for themselves any safer, or us. And Sunday night, the man who was committing suicide had a firearm in his hand, a pistol, and it was demanded of him that he put it down, and he didn't. Well, what he did was, here the cops are, probably their weapons are drawn, right? Does that exacerbate a man about to commit suicide? Does it make it easier for him to put the gun down or harder to put the gun down? Does it make it more likely and more necessary that he put the gun to his mouth and open his mouth and put the muzzle in it? Is it more necessary to do that or less necessary when the cops have arrived and they're surrounding you, they're shouting at you, they're screaming at you, put the gun down, put the gun down? And we've seen scenes like that thousands of times already all across the country where these cops are threatening people, bullying people, tasing people, screaming at people, threatening people, lying to people. And here's the man who's already at the edge psychologically. Maybe he has a mental disturbance. Maybe he's on narcotics. Maybe he's on opioids. Perhaps he has a doctor's prescription. A prescription from a state licensed medical person, right? That's what doctors are. And the cop shoots at him 3 times after he pulls the trigger. Here's the very loud situation. And the man pulls the trigger, fatally wounding himself. And the cop opens fire. That is a warrior cop. Okay. That is a warrior cop. The self-directed bullet is thought to be aimed at the officer. Of course, if the officer thinks that he's under threat, well, then immediately the gun is made to fire accidentally now, right? Accidentally 3 times. 2 bullets hitting the furniture. I guess it's a sofa or an easy chair, and 1 hitting this poor lost soul who has murdered himself in the leg. Consider that not a day goes by without reports of officers overstepping the bounds of the Constitution and brutalizing, terrorizing, and killing the citizenry. That's all across the country. Indeed, the list of incidents in which unaccountable police abuse their power, betray their oath of office, and leave taxpayers bruised and broken and or killed grows longer and more tragic. We're 8 times more likely to die by the hand of a man or woman in blue than by a terrorist. So where is the problem? Where is our national security apparatus focusing itself? Well, it really shouldn't be focusing itself on any city or any state. That those are local concerns and state concerns. If there is a national security apparatus, it should be dealing with foreign threats if there is one, but not despite Senator McCain, foreign interventions and meddling in foreign elections, which is what we are notorious for. We are a country notorious for meddling in elections. Even in the Israeli elections, we funded a group in the hundreds of thousands of dollars against, to support our guy. We funded somebody, and we had back in the 1980s. In 1980, when SWAT got its start, there were about 3,000 SWAT team style raids in the U.S. in that first year. But now, guess how many there are? You want to guess? 800-8949, 800-894-9. I'll be at the Starbucks on Thursday. Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore with Keon Rose and Nick LaFew, and that's the Gridiron Gang Show. The Gridiron Gang Show. Tune into our wonderful show focusing for 2 hours on local football, right? Local football, and I'll be there. I'll probably have my nose in the book this time. I did have a nice long chat with one of my listeners. You're my listener, but there's another man. There's a man who listens too. His name is Calvin Davis. Calvin Davis is a listener, and I was very glad to meet my listener. So now I've got 2. When my numbers go up like that from you and then him too, well, I'm just greatly honored. Now, so we have these SWAT, but what is SWAT being used for? Why do we have these violent actions and violent encounters? And how is it used? Well, go to Nuganomics.com and read John Whitehead's review What I like about John Whitehead is he always has the bird's eye view. He just gathers information from all across the country, which I could do too. But I use his column. In Connecticut, SWAT team swarms a bar suspected of having served alcohol to underage individuals. And in Arizona, a SWAT team is used to break up an alleged cockfighting ring. Okay, cockfighting. You have military people with their toys, all their toys, out, and the rural setting, the country setting, the area where the people sit, and then the ring in the middle, invaded by armed military types. In Atlanta, a SWAT team made a raid on a music studio out of concern that it might have been involved in illegal music piracy. So how is it that men armed with Heckler Koch 9mm machine pistols and M4 carbines and heavy armor and maybe covered faces are concerned about illegal music piracy? Is something wrong here? Is something wrong? Maybe I've got it backwards. Maybe this is what Americans are destined for. Maybe this is how we show that we really mean it, right? We are here to bring peace, prosperity, and democracy to countries in the Middle East, and using the same tactics. And so since we don't have really enough of that here, maybe that's how we're going to get it back. In California, a SWAT team drove up to Roger Serrato's house in an armored Lenco Bearcat, which there's one here in Chattanooga run by Jim Hammond, surrounded the home with paramilitary troops wearing face masks. Well, they threw a fire-starting flashbang grenade into the house in order. And then when Serrato appeared at a window, unarmed and wearing only his shorts, they held him at bay. They forced him to stand there with rifles, and he died. Well, they didn't shoot him, but he was asphyxiated from being trapped in the flame-filled house. And he was a man who had done nothing wrong. He had been misidentified as someone who had been involved in a shooting. Do you know how often that happens? Yeah, we think we're looking for somebody who's been involved in a break-in, or we heard that there was someone carrying a tire iron around here, and so we're going to stop you and harass you. Just because we can, just because you're here, right? You're the sin of location, right? The sin of your body being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then what about the police officer who tripped and accidentally shot and killed Yuri Stamps, an old man, a grandfather of 12 young people who had been forced to lie face down on the floor of his home at gunpoint while a SWAT team attempted to execute a search warrant for his stepson. And these are major offenses, right? You're looking for a stepson, music piracy, possibly a bar selling alcohol to underage individuals. And then in Baltimore and Dallas, SWAT teams are used to bust up poker games. Now, the poker games are certainly a security threat, and we have to deal with that. 92% of 8,200 SWAT missions that were in a study were used to execute search or arrest warrants. Now, we have one advantage here. We have David Roddy, the chief, and these things are not going to happen here. They're not likely to happen here. I'm just going to tell you, they're not going to happen here. Let's make it really straight. They're not happening here, David Roddy. They're not happening here. And Sheriff Hammond, they're not going to happen here, are they? Are they? David Toulis, Nigger Radio.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
For the first time ever, Tennessee reached a tourism milestone. Visitors to Tennessee spent over $20 billion last year. Governor Haslam announced the record numbers, saying as part of the record-breaking year, nearly $2 billion in local and state sales tax were collected, something Tennessee relies heavily on since there's no state income tax. Found safe, the 4 children that were kidnapped in Lima, Ohio, had all eyes on communities along I-75, possibly headed to Florida, including Chattanooga. Police have arrested their non-custodial mother and her boyfriend. They hadn't traveled very far as they were found in Ohio. And there's a new recall involving Volkswagen. According to the NTSB, Volkswagen recalling 8,416 Atlas SUVs and Passat sedans because the brake caliper bracket mounting bolts may have not been tightened sufficiently. The recall on the Chattanooga-made vehicles expected to begin October 14th. Val St. John for Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Chattanooga weather.
Expect partly cloudy, hot, and humid weather out there for your afternoon. A few isolated showers and storms, though, will pop up. Highs upper 80s to near 90 tonight. A lingering shower or storm possible through midnight. Lows 70 to 72, with scattered showers and storms a little more likely for Thursday and Friday. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm Soar G12, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Join Nooga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships as well as after-school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
My ex recently hacked my email and my social media, and it really caused me some problems. I changed all my passwords, which helped, but I'm still getting trolled, maybe even stalked. I know it's him. I just can't prove it.
My business, well, it's been broken into twice already. I've got cameras, but that only helps after the fact. I'd rather prevent it from happening in the first place.
Unity One East is your solution to these and many other security concerns. With private investigation, security services, and backed by decades of real-life experience in military and law enforcement, Unity One East is your instant contact for security, investigation, and consultation to help protect you, your family, and your business. No 1-800 number, no red tape, no wait, because Unity One East is local and available 24/7. Reclaim your peace of mind. Call Unity One East, 475-6206, 475-6206. The Trail of Tears, an important part of American history, slowly fading away. But for 25 years, bikers across the nation, along with the Trail of Tears Memorial Association, have gathered together every September to ride and remember. Crockett Power Sports Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga is proud to be a part of this tradition. Join Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga Friday, September 14th for a pre-ride rally. Starting at 4, there's vendors, food, music, and a chance to gather in fellowship with your tribes. The Trail of Tears Memorial Ride starts Saturday the 15th, 7 a.m. at Reggie White Boulevard. Kickstands up at 9 a.m. sharp. Go to CrockettPowersports.com for route information, ride rules, safety tips, and all other information about the ride and its cause. Join the pre-ride rally at Crockett Powersports Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look for the sign on 153 and Amnicola. Friday the 14th from 4 to 8. Grab your leather, gas your tanks. We ride, rain or shine, in honor of the true American originals. Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick in money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McCarty Ford of Fort Payne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com.
Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee! Great horny toads, I'm up north. Gotta burn my boots. They touched Yankee soil. Lay down your
WPLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga.
Serving Chattanooga.
Broadcasting live from the center of the universe, the Tennessee Valley's most listened to news talk station.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by ZipRecruiter.
I'm Jim Sheneby. The body of the late Senator John McCain now lies in state at the Arizona Capitol, with officials first to pay respects, including former Arizona Senator Jon Kyl.
He had been to more countries, knew more foreign leaders, and had a better grasp of history than any other American official, including our secretaries of state.
I'm Stephen Kaufman in Phoenix. The casket containing the remains of U.S. Senator John McCain is now lying in state in the rotunda of the Arizona State Capitol. A private ceremony began shortly after the late senator's arrival, highlighted by remarks made by invited officials, including Arizona Governor Doug Ducey. Meantime, the public continues to line up under protective cover for the chance to view the casket and to pay their respects later on today.
Some 24 people at a correctional facility in Chillicothe, Ohio, had to be treated at a hospital today after exposures to some type of drug or chemical.
Total patients that were brought to Adena Regional Medical Center today and treated were 24.
Hospital spokesman Jeffrey Graham.
There was one inmate that was treated. The other 23 were staff,
including guards and nurses. Just one person admitted. Primary voting Tuesday in Arizona and Florida. In Arizona, Republican Congresswoman Martha McSally beat back conservative challengers by vowing her support for President Trump and hardline immigration policies. In Florida, the governor's race looking also to be a referendum on the president, with a heavily favored Ron DeSantis, backed by Mr. Trump, against a liberal Democrat, Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
The contests in Florida and Arizona are indicative of the kind of challenge that Republicans all across the country are going to have this year. How closely do you stand with President Trump, who obviously enjoys the support of the most diehard Republicans across the country, but who isn't as popular in these big states as he is in some other parts of the country?
Another Trump administration official is departing. White House counsel Don McGahn.
The announcement, delivered by tweet, has White House counsel Don McGahn departing this fall, shortly after Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh is, in the president's words, hopefully confirmed. McGahn was widely expected to leave on that timetable. Earlier this month, it was reported he has cooperated extensively with special counsel Robert Mueller, leading to concerns here at the White House about what its chief lawyer has shared with the prosecutor.
CBS's Stephen Portnoy. A revised figure for the second quarter gross domestic product, even better than initially reported. It shows the economy grew by 4.2% from April through June, a tenth of a point faster, still the fastest growth in 4 years' time. On Wall Street, the Dow up 58, the NASDAQ up 64. This is CBS News.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified candidates for businesses of all sizes. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Samsung Galaxy Note 9 has arrived at Sprint. For a limited time, get the super powerful new Samsung Galaxy Note 9 at 50% off with a Sprint Flex lease. It's the fastest Note ever, and you can get it on a network built for unlimited. The Samsung Galaxy Note 9 is also perfect for gaming. Take your Fortnite skills to a new level with the largest battery ever seen in a Note. Along with a 6.4-inch edge-to-edge infinity screen and stereo speakers, Galaxy Note 9 also features a smarter camera and a mightier S Pen with remote control. Make the switch to Sprint right now and get the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 at 50% off with a Sprint Flex lease. Plus, get annual upgrades with Galaxy Forever. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com/Samsung, or call 1-800-SPRINT1. Note 9, 2083 per month after 2084 per month. Credit applied within 2 bills. Requires new line and 18-month lease. Early termination results in remaining balance due. Upgrade after 12 lease payments. Offer coverage not available everywhere. Excludes taxes. Requires qualifying plan. Subject to credit. $30 activation fee and restrictions apply.
An annual music festival getting underway today in Kentucky, featuring the music of some favorite sons. Jim Taylor reports.
The Everly Brothers Rock and Roll Cruise-In marks its 17th year this week. Concerts being held tonight, tomorrow night. Muscle cars, hot rods, and trucks on display Friday night. This Saturday, a new event being introduced in Central City, only Corvettes. And as always, the Everly Brothers Rock and Roll Cruise-In is free. Jim Taylor, CBS News.
Cleveland Browns linebacker Michael Kendricks has been charged with insider trading for allegedly taking tips from an acquaintance to make an estimated $1.2 million in illegal profits on 4 major trading deals. The acquaintance allegedly was paid at least $10,000 in kickbacks, along with perks like tickets to Philadelphia Eagles games where Kendricks played before signing with the Browns. Jim Sheneby, CBS News.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
According to the NTSB, Volkswagen recalling 8,416 Atlas SUVs and Passat sedans because the brake caliper bracket mounting bolts may not have been tightened sufficiently. The recall on the Chattanooga-made vehicles is expected October 14th. For more info, contact Volkswagen Customer Service. Chattanooga is growing, there's no doubt. City transportation workers hope to make it a little easier when it comes to improving the flow of traffic. We've learned the City Council has approved CDOT's application for a grant to fully fund the $7.5 million project. Areas being considered from Manufacturers Boulevard and Fraser Avenue to I-24 to the North Shore and Central Avenue to the Tennessee River. And Dunlap police need your help finding a missing woman. 42-year-old Tiffany Holbert was last seen walking June 13th towards Highway 27. If you have information, contact the Dunlap Police. Val St. John for Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Chattanooga weather. Expect partly cloudy, hot, and humid weather out there for your afternoon. A few isolated showers and storms, though, will pop up. Highs upper 80s to near 90 tonight. A lingering shower or storm possible through midnight. Lows 70 to 72, with scattered showers and storms a little more likely for Thursday and Friday. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's, it's always good. And I'm Storm Chief Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick in money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com.
Nooga Radio. Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours with Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nooga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7.
Nooga Radio. Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Toulis.
Yes, the blogger with the biggest pen, anxious that conservatives, anxious that right-minded people are falling into a trap, that they are the victims of schizophrenia, in which they abandon the principles of, I would say, God's grace, and abandon the principles of God's grace living out as it does in society, which is to say a free market, a decentralized economic order, a distributed economy. I think in many ways the concept of a distributed economy that the internet promises, that the blockchain envisions in many ways, is a freer and more opportune place in which to prosper yourself. And so our goal here, bound as we are, enslaved as we might be to location, right, to geography, we can have part of our lives that are in that ether of the internet, where many good things can happen. Though I would also say that the internet makes or can make and maybe does make most everything worthless. It is amazing to see how the internet is crowded as it is, makes it impossible for anyone to be found. And so we still have to have the old concept of the gatekeeper, the arbiter, the publisher, right? The aggregator who makes decisions now as to what gets out there and what doesn't get out there. We still have to rely on those. And people were saying back 10 years ago, well, the internet is going to make newspapers obsolete. Well, it might make them obsolete and make them less valuable. And was it Newsweek sold for $1? And the Washington newspapers, or I don't have any numbers in front of me to say so, but I know that some major players in the press were sold for just scarcely anything at all, news organizations. And so there are new ventures online where people who are writers and publishers like me are trying to figure out how to prosper ourselves and make a living doing what we're doing, and not have to have these sort of backdoor means of income. Well, this is David Toulis, and I forgot where I was going with that, and so I'm just going to come back to the point about schizophrenia, and that is what conservatives are often a victim of. They react to what the left does, what the left says. If the left suddenly said, babies are valuable and we need to have more women in the workforce, like Webb Hubbell's daughter was saying the other day at the Clinton girl. She was glad about abortion because that freed up women to go into the workforce. But the left says, well, abortion really is not so good. We need to have more babies born, more women in the workforce. There would probably be evangelical Christians. There might even be conservatives who would say, wait a minute. We got to watch what they're doing. Watch their hand. Watch their lips. Right. Watch where their hands go. Follow the money, that kind of thing. And suddenly they end up taking the other position, right? Take the pro-abortion position. There are reasons to take it, right? If you have abortion, well, you reduce the welfare rolls by getting rid of black people, right? That's one reason. By abortion, you have self-selecting people not reproducing, right? You eliminate people who self-select to not reproduce. And what better thing could you want to have evolutionary gains in the human race, right? You see how the conservative would take the pro-abortion position. They would rationalize the killing of boys and girls that way. There have been many other things in which the conservative ends up proving himself to be he's just the conservative, more the rationalist socialist, whereas your Democrats are your sort of ideational, fantastic, dreaming socialists. They're really far gone, thinking of Marx's dream, Lenin's dream of the society that has everybody so perfectly in his place that there is no need for government, right? The government just falls away. Somehow we can make that happen if we just have enough government programs all marshaling themselves and ordering the people around, that at some point we've become perfected, right? We've become the new model, the new Soviet man, the new American man. And we don't have to have the state anymore. It'll suddenly just disappear because we've all been put into our proper place or our proper role, properly subsidized and funded and coddled from birth canal to grave. And there we are. So that's your liberal wing of socialism. But your conservatives, I'm afraid to say, are mostly socialists. And even here in Tennessee and Chattanooga, your conservatives accept things that a genuine conservative, that would be someone like me. I'm a classical liberal, right? I'm a classical liberal, which means I'm a genuine conservative. You could call me a rhino, I suppose, a rhino Republican. No, not a rhino. That's the wrong word. But a genuine Republican. Those are the ones who are truly for free markets, truly for family, truly for marriage, and maybe the gold standard. Those aren't rhinos. Those are true conservatives, right? The rhinos are the ones who are in the middle, right? Making compromises with the Democrats. But here's one thing that we have. The conservatives are absolutely wrong about, and that's what the fruits of the Molly Tibbetts murder. And what are the Viguerie types doing? What are they saying to capitalize on the killing by apparently an immigrant man of this college student? And what's happened is taking her death. The conservatives are saying, well, we need to have we're going to be the loudest in saying we need to have stronger and bigger government. There's a writer named George Rassley. He's the editor of Conservative HQ. Richard Viguerie is behind him, and the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. And caller, you're live on the David Toulis Show. What is on your mind?
Well, we conservatives don't get it wrong there, because if he wasn't in the country illegally, because he's a lawbreaker, he wouldn't have been able to kill her, would he have? But it's because of liberal Democrat policies, and I call them liberal libertarian policies that don't recognize government or legal boundaries, he wouldn't have been able to kill her. You know how many crimes are committed by illegal aliens? They need to go.
Yes, go on.
Hello?
I'm
How
listening.
does that not make sense? How doesn't it make sense?
Well,
how do I have
actually,
this wrong?
the immigrants are less criminal than Americans. The data you're citing is not correct. Go ahead.
Somebody breaks into your house and kills a member of your family, they're a criminal. If you're in this country not legally, you're a criminal. Everybody in this country without authorization is a criminal. That's the definition. And then they go and kill people and they bring in drugs. Come on.
Go ahead. I'm listening. They bring in drugs. They kill people.
How-
Okay, so
how are we
immigrants,
wrong?
we should not
How are
have
we wrong, David?
immigrants.
Why don't we just let MS-13 in? Why don't we let all those criminal gangs in? Should they just come across the
No,
border?
those are criminal gangs. They should always be in view of keepers of the law. That would be sheriff's department, police
We
department.
need a big wall, and I'm being serious. We need a big wall with a gun to it. If you're going to come into this country, you better follow our rules. You better learn how to speak English. You better learn our culture, or don't come.
Well, I know that. Look, I know that that's plain. That line of thinking is what our listener believes, right? He believes that,
He
and yet
doesn't believe
I'm
it.
wanting him to raise a question about that. Go ahead.
Listen, the only people that don't want this are people that depend on, criminals to vote for them, like Democrats. I mean, listen, without creating an underclass, the Democratic Party wouldn't exist. So of course they want illegals to come in. Hey, come on in. Hey, suck up the resources of our schools. Go ahead. You can't speak English. That's okay. We'll hire. You know how many languages there are in the world? Now I want you to think of this logically. We already have government schools. They're already required to educate children. Doesn't matter what country they're from. Let's say there's 100 different languages. Are we going to hire 100 different teachers to teach these kids? How are we going to do this?
Well, I would say a
Well,
free
the
market
hospital-
solution
the
is
hospital
there,
can't-
not
hospitals
a
can't
state
turn anybody
solution.
down the emergency rooms. Why don't you just come over the border, have your baby, we'll pay for it, and then go back over. Now, Matt, why don't you stay? We'll give you a cash payment. Yeah, we'll give you a cash payment, and we'll give you food stamps, and we'll give you welfare and a TV and a place to live. Yeah, come on over.
Well, Mike, you're pretending. You're doing a lot of pretending here, Mike, and there's kind of a cartoon developing in your narrative. I'm sorry, Mike. There's a kind of a cartoon developing out of your narrative where every immigrant who's here, the immigrant listener whom I have, or the listener knows the immigrant knows that that's not true. That person whom my listener knows, Mike, the other listener, is very hardworking, has children because he or she is pro-life.
Some of them, and I'm not a rat. I wouldn't rat them out. I've known some of them all over the world. But if they're not here,
Well, why wouldn't you rat them out,
legally,
Mike?
They're illegal.
Why would you
they're
not
illegal.
rat out an immigrant who's here and without the proper papers? He's an undocumented American now. Why would you not rat him out?
Undocumented, they're illegal aliens. An alien is somebody. Let me give you an example. I'm initially from Pennsylvania. If I lived in Pennsylvania and moved to Chattanooga, I would be an alien. I'd be an alien from that state. That's like the corporate alien. They're aliens and they're illegal. They're breaking the law. Listen, will you at least admit that Congress has the authorization constitutionally to protect our borders and make those laws? Can we at least admit that?
Well, if there's a military threat, the federal power has admiralty jurisdiction to defend the country from a military invasion. Yes. Is that what we're facing now?
So we have authorization to do that.
Well,
We have
to do what?
we
No,
have
to do what?
authorization to protect our border. We know that the Supreme Court has said that many, many times, and they're right, believe it or not. So in that, what do we do with people that are not following our laws, that are crossing the borders illegally, that makes them a criminal, an illegal alien? What do we do with them?
I think we should leave them alone and ignore them. And we here in the state of Tennessee should not take up the grievance of the federal pretense. Mike, I think my listener and I are reluctant, maybe the listener, but I'm for sure reluctant to take up the offense, the grievance that you're expressing, that the federal government has some rule or law that hasn't been followed by someone who's here out of personal necessity. The people who are here are here from necessity, and they're not criminals. They're not criminals. They're non-criminal.
I have to laugh at people that call Trump a conservative. And I'll tell you why I have to laugh at that. because Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump, and the conditions were much worse in detention centers, if that's what you want to call it.
I have read that, yes.
You want to know what a true conservative like me would do if I were president?
What?
I would have ICE raid homes and take them out in handcuffs, and then their kids would go to foster care. That's what I would do. And I wouldn't take them back when they cross the border. I'd have them shoot anyone crossing the border. And then word would get back, if you cross into the border illegally, you will be shot.
Well, Mike, that's what the pro-family Republicans.
Conservative. Donald Trump is a moderate. You dummy liberals. Don't dummy liberals realize he's a moderate? I'm the conservative that would do that. He's not a real conservative. It would be target practice. You do not come into this country unless we give you permission. Learn our language, learn our cultures, learn our ways. You want to come in legally if we need you. The country has to need you. You know, maybe we need railroads built, or maybe we need a dam built. We need our fields picked. Whatever we need you for. Then you apply, you get a green card, and you can come over. Or if you're being prosecuted, like in Cuba, where the country was a communist country, if you can show where you're being persecuted or prosecuted, then we have the means to get you in the country. We can grant you asylum.
Well,
but you just think you're going to walk into this country even from Canada? I don't think so.
Well, I do think so, and the reason is that the law, Mike, what you're proposing to enshrine is having bureaucrats make life and death decisions for people, and they have no authority. It's completely arbitrary, and it's in the hands of the executive branch. The executive branch nor the legislative branch in our country has the authority to do what you're proposing. It doesn't exist. It's not constitutional. The Congress has authority only to naturalize newcomers. That's all it has power to do. And what you have in mind, what you have in view, what you're proposing is a totalitarian state. And that's I'm trying to get to the totalitarian state argument that the conservatives are making. The conservatives are proposing,
because we want to protect our borders, we have a totalitarian state.
Yes, because to protect them in the way that you're proposing.
Look at Israel. Look at any country that didn't protect their borders. Hey, how'd that work out for the American Indians? How'd that work out for them? We now own this land. You know what? I don't feel sorry for the Indians. We own this land because we beat them. And guess what? If we don't protect our borders and we're taken over, we deserve it. If Russia can beat us, they deserve to have us, because might makes right in this world. That's how boundaries are drawn. By blood, by bullets. They're not drawn voluntarily.
Mike, you have support.
Boundaries are drawn by blood and bullets. And if China can take us or Russia can take us, they got us. We're only going to be able to, your country is only going to be able to survive if we protect our borders.
These are fantastic and preposterous theorizings, Mike, about what would happen if we have an open border.
They're facts. They're facts. We need to
don't forget, we are separated by 2 oceans from these other countries.
Protect the interest of America.
They, quote, they are not going to come over here, Mike, as you're proposing. Always individuals will, families will, businesses will come here for prospering in a place of increased liberty. But what you're always suggesting that these countries are going to invade us if we have so-called open borders. Well, what I'm proposing and what the marketplace argument is that that we go back to what we were before the 1920s. We were an open country.
David, there were no nuclear weapons before the 1920s. Do you know how many times the intelligence agency thwarted attacks? There was something called nukes in a suitcase. And
neutron bombs,
right
yes.
Across the border. They could sneak all sorts of weapons, surface-to-air missiles across the border. There's all sorts of things they can do to get across the border.
Well, that's Mike.
Right now, I'll tell you what.
Because of what the dangers you're describing, Mike.
Drugs are killing. Do you think we should kill people that bring drugs over?
Mike, the drug problem is from major companies that are licensed in every state to sell narcotics. These are licensed companies, state corporations, and they are distributed by licensed doctors in Tennessee and West Virginia and many other heavily opioid-riddled states. We don't have to worry about a few Mexicans or a few Guatemalans coming in with some narcotics. That is a drop in the bucket compared to what's legally being done now by the drug industry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not happy with the drug industry either. I think they push pills. But that doesn't negate the fact that we have a major, major illegal drug industry in this country too. and that the federal government's on the take and the local government's on the take and the local police are on the take, and that they confiscate these drugs and sometimes keep half of them and sell the other half. But the idea that we're going to allow these cartels to create tunnels and to bring massive quantities of illegal drugs to get our children hooked and destroy this republic, that's unacceptable.
Well, the main idea, Mike, that the local economy theory holds to on this point of the border is that if a person, a man with his wife and children, perhaps, let's say, have committed no crime, then they should be free to move wherever they want, to any country they want.
They crossed the border illegally.
Well,
That's
who's
fine.
to say,
Criminal.
Mike, you have these arbitrary rules and laws that you say suddenly you want to defend. Why are arbitrary rules and laws supported by you? Why do you do that?
They're not arbitrary.
You're for freedom. Why are you now saying these rules and laws we have to support, we have to enforce them? Absolutely not. Well, they should not be enforced.
Somebody gets in your house and you didn't detect them in your house, and you walk in there and they're on your easy chair and they've eaten all your
Mike,
food,
that's
they peed on your carpet. You don't say to them, "Oh,
that's the Three Bears fairy tale, Mike."
Coming in, but I want you to get the hell out of my house.
It's not.
That's
It's not
walks
analogous. Mike, private ownership of a house is not analogous to a country, the border of which simply denotes the end of authority of a particular government body. That's all that means.
This is my house.
That's not ownership. Don't forget,
Canada.
Mike. Legal authority is not ownership. Okay, legal authority for a statute to be enforced up to this point, this line in the sand, is not the same as ownership. It's not the same doctrine.
We the people gave bureaucrats for a temporary amount of time to execute my constitution. This is my country. These are my boundaries, and if they're in here illegally, they're violating my rules in my house.
Okay, Mike, listen, your phone is breaking up. Mike, listen, your phone is breaking up, and we can't make out what you're saying. I'm sorry, you'll have to call back. This is David Toulis, and we're talking with Mike, and he's taking the side of the conservatives here. Okay, and listen to his very good and full argument about why we should view all immigrants as criminals, every single one of them, and demand their papers, and demand papers even of people like you who are clearly not an immigrant because, well, we can't discriminate, right? So if we can't discriminate between you, a white person who speaks decent English, and a swarthy-skinned man with an Indian look on his face and a bunch of children in the back and an old model car, clearly an immigrant we can't make a discrimination, so we have to put everybody at the checkpoint. Mike is essentially arguing that there have to be universal checkpoints, universal e-verifies, and the like. And he's got great company. As I was mentioning, Conservative HQ, George Raisley is the editor. He says, the real killers are the politicians who keep our borders open and who continue protecting illegal aliens. Molly Tibbetts was killed so that somebody in Iowa could have cheap labor. And she was killed so that the Business Roundtable, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and the rest of Washington, Wall Street, Silicon Valley axis could hit this quarter's earnings target. So there's a kind of a populist argument there effectively demanding that there cannot be freedom on the border. Freedom inside the border, okay, we think we have that, but we actually don't. Have you heard about the checkpoints 200 miles inland, and everybody's being stopped. Everybody is being invasively searched and demanded questions of. David Toulis, Nigger Radio, love your neighbor and buy local. We've got Sean Hannity just ahead. Sean Hannity just ahead here at 92.7 FM, live on Facebook and live on YouTube.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
For the first time ever, Tennessee reached a tourism milestone. Visitors to Tennessee spent over $20 billion last year. Governor Haslam announced the record numbers, saying as part of the record-breaking year, nearly $2 billion in local and state sales tax were collected, something Tennessee relies heavily on since there's no state income tax. Found safe, the 4 children that were kidnapped in Lima, Ohio, had all eyes on communities along I-75, possibly headed to Florida, including Chattanooga. Police have arrested their non-custodial mother and her boyfriend. They hadn't traveled very far as they were found in Ohio. And there's a new recall involving Volkswagen. According to the NTSB, Volkswagen recalling 8,416 Atlas SUVs and Passat sedans because the brake caliper bracket mounting bolts may have not been tightened sufficiently. The recall on the Chattanooga-made vehicles expected to begin October 14th. Val St. John for Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Hey, Karen, you need me for that 1 o'clock?
Yes, Cheese, please. Karen, did you get the quarterlies done? Yep, they're filed in the Cabernet cabinet.
Karen, can you describe the initiatives to the new hire? Thanks.
Oh, sure. Full-bodied, some floral notes, maybe a hint of dark chocolate.
Am I in the right department?
Got wine on the mind? Come unwind at Virgola. Italian wine, oysters, caviar, cheeses, and more. Perfect after work or a romantic date night. Virgola Italian Wine Bar, 608 Georgia Avenue.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need AMCO Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. AMCO Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation. 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
The 25th anniversary of the Trail of Tears Memorial Motorcycle Ride comes to Chattanooga Saturday, September 15th. Join the pre-ride kickoff party at Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga, Friday the 14th, starting at 4. We'll see you there.
Chattanooga weather. Expect partly cloudy, hot, and humid weather out there for your afternoon. A few isolated showers and storms, though, will pop up. Highs upper 80s to near 90 tonight. A lingering shower or storm possible through midnight. Lows 70 to 72 with scattered showers and storms a little more likely for Thursday and Friday. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's. It's always good. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Max Report.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Toulis.
I'm going to have to complain to management. I just don't have enough time. 2 hours a day is just not enough. It's just not. Just not enough. I'm arguing for near being better than far, small than big, and simple than complex. And in the footnotes, at 5-point type in Helvetica font, the neutral Swiss font with coercion-free lettering and no serifs, right? The serif is the little blade that Courier font has, and that all federal legislation, and in fact all state legislation has. When you read it, it all has the little feet. They're not feet; they're really blades, and that is because statutory language is compulsory and coercive. And I am arguing for the Helvetica font, which is all voluntary, all grace-oriented, liberty-oriented, free, not compulsory, and encouraging of private virtue and public virtue as well. 800-8949, 800-8949 is the number to call to get in on the show. Ask me a question about a problem that you've got. Ask my analysis of something. Maybe I can get it out of my lips in 5 minutes. But if you take up the whole segment with your grievous problem, we'll listen to it. Okay, if it's interesting, and I judge that you are contributing to my other listener out there, then you can certainly call now. 800-8949. Local economy, the free market is what I cover. David Toulis, the blogger with the biggest pen, the smartest guy with a bow tie, who wants you to know about a show, the Get You Covered show here at 92.7 FM every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, our newest show, We've Got You Covered Radio. It's hosted by Scott Schrader and a legion of local experts. They're going to be talking about helping you on your home, helping yourself on your home, repairs, and things to think about that are aimed at increasing the value of your real estate starting the 1st of September. That's We've Got You Covered Radio, only on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM. brought to you by Chattanooga Roofing Contractors. That's Chattanooga Roofing Contractors. And my name is David Toulis, and the number 800-8949. And in the footnotes, I forgot to tell you about the footnotes. I'm the blogger who uses footnotes, and sometimes some legal jargon. Personal is better than corporate, and make sure you like us on the great censor, FB. Like us. Personal is better than corporate, and physical than abstract. Now there is. I'm complaining because I don't have enough time. And I want you to hear a little bit from Keila Jackson. She is a woman who is in a near catch-22 situation, borrowing the word, of course, from Thomas Heller, who has a war novel of that name. And the catch-22 is a conundrum in which there is no escape, a fix in which there is no right answer, or every answer is wrong. And if you do A because you have to do A, then you can't do B, which is also compulsory, et cetera, et cetera. That is the catch-22 situation. And Keila Jackson is a woman whose prosperity is being retarded by the operation of Title 55, the Transportation Code, 4 years ago, and she has been under a civil death sentence. And that is, and I've heard her story, and I'm trying to find out what her solution is to a bureaucratic tangle. She's trying to get a driver license renewed. But there's a hold on it from Georgia. It was suspended in Georgia, so she has to unsuspend her Georgia one so that she can apply for a Tennessee one. But she's too poor, being a writer and a teacher. She's too poor to make the plan, and she's doubtful about the scheme proposed for payment. The payment plan for Chattanooga City Government and City Court. Don Swafford is the clerk, and Sherry Patey is one of the two judges.
Well, with the judge, to be honest with you, I don't even know if it's a matter of her not fully comprehending. I think it's a matter of not really caring at this point in time because of the amount of the fines. And that's what Jennifer was conveying, that with the amount being so low in comparison to the exorbitant fines of others, I think there's a lack of compassion.
Right.
And
Tiffany McGuinn, for example, of East Ridge, a lady who works in a restaurant, 2 dependents, she has 10-year-old fines and fees piling up. Guess how much? Guess the slavery facing that woman of color. $14,000. Keila Jackson's is a slight $800, and she can't afford it, and she cannot use the road. She is being held back. She is being impoverished by the ban on communication, because that's what, if you can't go somewhere, that is a ban on communication. She is under a civil death sentence, and it's one that affects the poor, the African American, the immigrant, the orphan and the widow the most, the alien and the stranger. These are categories of people that a Christian person should think about, because they are protected in the Word of God. The Holy Scripture, Holy Writ, gives them a special protection. And if you don't look out for them, if you don't bring relief for them, then you are in trouble. Your country's in trouble. Your prosperity is doubtful. And here's Keila Jackson in a chat.
And so I mean, as I said yesterday, I will continue to save the money. It's not a horribly high amount. I will continue to save the money, but I'm not making a move until I feel comfortable. I'm not spending all of my savings on this. It's been this way for 2 years. It can go this way for another few months until I have my finances together. I'm not going to put myself in a bind for you were right. I mean, it's evil. It's just evil. And I am not rushing to do something that will satisfy them and put me in a bind. And that's pretty much why I have taken the time that I've taken. Because yes, I'm saving, but at this point, I cannot treat this in a fashion that will further damage my survival. I have to have savings. It's only me. I only look out for myself. I don't have a husband. I don't have anyone who feeds me money. I don't have anyone who gives me any type of stipend per month. I have 7 streams of income, but as I've said on your show, all of those streams go towards staying a responsible adult. I don't receive anything from the state. Not knocking anyone who receives anything from the state, but it's me. And so I'm not spending all my savings on this. I'm not. And it's sad to say that my savings equate to the fines, but it is what it is.
She's a woman who has 7 streams of income and is just barely getting by. And to pay her fines to be able to exercise the right of travel through the pretended extortionate privilege scheme run by the state government in Tennessee, she has to give up all of her padding, all of her savings have to go to pay these fines. And the people who are imposing them, their hands off. Well, we just can't. There's nothing we can do to change it. Georgia has its cleanse. It's a separate jurisdiction from us. And here she's she's mentioning Jennifer, she's the agreed order clerk for Judge Sherry Patey, and nothing can be done. We are just hamstrung. These systems exist. They operate independently of any one person. No one is personally responsible. And as I tell Keila Jackson, and I've mentioned it to other people, when God is in charge, when a country loves God and fears God and worships him, guess what? You don't have bureaucracy. You have minimum bureaucracy. Why? Bureaucracy is impersonal. And we have multiple impersonal systems built upon each other and all feeding each other, all interrelated, interlocked, interpenetrating. And no one is responsible. Nothing can be done. No justice can be eked out for this woman who is being told that it's a crime for her to get into a car if she could afford one or have one given to her or obtain one. It would be a crime for her to go to a job that would pay her a couple $100. It would be a crime to do that. And that is a lie. That is simply a lie. And she's on my show, and you've perhaps heard about her, or you can read about her. You can certainly read about her at Nuganomics.com. She is a victim of an extortion racket. And the state government, if it does not obey Title 55, especially since I've given it notice, I've given notice to the state of Tennessee that the statute in Title 55 applies to transportation. It does not apply to private people using their cars and trucks for non-commercial private uses for the purposes of exercising rights, for the purposes of communicating. That's what you use a car for, to communicate. Communication is a word simply of doing necessary things, going shopping, going to church, going to vote, going to take part in a political rally, going to support an old person, going to exercise charity, doing private necessity. That's called communication. And she's being denied, this young journalist in her 30s, a woman of color. She's being denied that she can do that. And if she does do that without proper defense, she's going to be accused of a crime. And she's $800 in the hole. That's all she's got.
Were you given any assurance yesterday that if you started the payment plan with $200 down payment, that you would be able to accrue the credit with the court system until it was all paid? Or was the 30-day tolling problem not settled, Keila?
It was fuzzy. It was fuzzy because I was told that the monies that I would pay would go towards the issue. However, I am only listed under the Georgia license, which is suspended, but we're the state of Tennessee. See, that was the consistent issue that was brought back to me, is that, well, you have a Georgia license and we're the state of Tennessee. And so when I asked, well, okay, well, where will my money go towards? I was told, well, it'll go towards your issue. But what account is that? If we're not the state of Tennessee, and I don't have a Georgia license here in Tennessee, and that's the license in question, but you all can't overstep your state boundaries to enforce Georgia issues, then where's the money going to go? So that on one hand was confusing. And then you had Mr. Swafford said, well, your money just doesn't go away, but you're not getting it back. So what does that mean? Okay, I'm paying this money to La La Land where we don't know which account it's going to. But if I pay it, and you can't get it back, we don't know, I'm not going to get it back if I pay it. So in short, no, I am unclear as to if the money will be fruitfully applied or not.
And this is a woman who is under and oppression. Okay, I want you to understand there is a moral wrong here. Crime is a moral problem, right? Crime is not sociological. It's not purely legal. Crime is moral. And so is judgment. When there's a judgment, and here we have a woman who is under a judgment. She lost her driver's license under mistake. How can she get back on the road to go places, to go to contracts, to go to interviews as a journalist, writing for 2 magazines, paid, no doubt, as I am as a journalist, paid a pittance. We have not silver in our pockets, but we have lint. And here she's a woman with so much lint and so little silver that she has not enough to pay fines of $800. Go to Nuganomics.com and read her petition. Her petition from her hand is a moving story about her life. And she's asking for a restricted driver's license, and she's being told no. She's asking for a restricted one, which enslaves her to the will of a judge, to go only to certain locations for certain purposes and nothing else. There's no freedom. Just you have to follow these routines. She's asking for that because she can't afford this payment plan. She can't, and she doesn't know that if she starts the payment plan, that some clock won't toll, and when 30 days are up, it'll be finished. And if you haven't made it, well, you haven't made it, and that's that. That's a story that I'm hearing here in Chattanooga. People don't understand what their rights are. They don't understand how it works. Read her petition for restricted driver's license. It's a story about her life. And she's very vulnerable. She's a single woman. She has to rely on walking. She has to rely on public transportation. She faces weather extremities, she says. And there's a state interest in her getting to be more profitable. There's also a personal protection interest that she cites in her petition to the city court judge here in Chattanooga. And I bring that to you just to bring it to your attention. Make sure you read the story. Now, I want to talk about other people who are also minorities, and they're coming into the country, and they are facing, from conservatives, they are facing great animosity and great enmity from people who should be supporting an open market, should be supporting effectively not a non-prison state. We don't want to be a prison state, and that's what conservatives have given us already, starting with the Ronald Reagan era. We have the rise of the prison industrial complex, and the support for it is among conservatives. That is to say, among people like you, my listener, our base. We are the Trump station. We are the Donald Trump station, the Sean Hannity station. And yet, from you comes now support for worker databases such as E-Verify, for national ID cards. All because you are offended somehow that people are here, as you say, illegally, and who should be caught at internal checkpoints, through which, of course, you will go to. Internal checkpoints run by the border security people out of Washington. You know, we used to denounce government snooping. We used to denounce internal checkpoints. We've denounced the census as conservatives. And here we have thousands of people who are deported every year, separated from children, separated from families. Are we not the family value conservatives here? I propose David Toulis here at Nuga Radio on Facebook and on YouTube. I propose that there be no criminal sanctions applied to anybody who's not committed a crime. Crossing the border without a paper is not a crime. I am for, and you should be for too, the undocumented American, because you want these people to be documented. You are, I guess, willing to accept that you too have to be documented. And these are forms of slavery that you just accept. You accept them without even thinking. The necessity, for example, to have a social security number. That's what you accept. You accept that. You say, well, that's just the way it is. Well, that's not what free people do. No, free people don't accept that. They do not accept that. They do not accept false claims upon your movement, upon your person, upon your activities, upon your liberties, all of which are harmless and innocent, all of which cause no wrong, no injury to anyone. How is the United States, I would beg to ask, offended or somehow injured in its peace and tranquility if there is a person here who doesn't have the proper papers? How is that? Well, immigrants are people too. They're human beings too. And they're here from personal necessity. Almost all of them have taken dangerous pathways to get here. And they think that somehow we're free. They think that somehow Americans love liberty. Americans love freedom. Are they wrong? Well, with many conservatives, I'm afraid to say, they are wrong. The conservatives don't want openness. They don't want freedom. They want tyranny, and they're willing to accept it for themselves through E-Verify and other forms of national surveillance if we can just stop these people who speak Spanish from coming in. We don't need impermeable border walls. We don't need invasive checks. We don't need the warfare state. And here, conservatives are saying also, well, we need to be able to track people who are likely to commit crimes. Well, to do that, you have to have the Minority Report writ large. You have to have predictive software. You have to have all kinds of things where people have to feed their data into it so that they can be analyzed and sifted and perhaps given the green light, perhaps given the orange light, perhaps the red light that no, you can't come in. Now, yesterday there was a hearing in Barry Steelman's criminal court, and a bond was reduced from $300,000 to $50,000 for Justin Whaley, the man accused finally after more than 50 days in the death, the killing of a family man, James Brumlow, both men in Saudi Daisy. Justin Whaley had been drinking the evening before with a friend, prudently had not gone home inebriated, but spent the night there. And that morning before daybreak, got in his car and was going north on 27, then north on, or I guess I should say westward on 111, where the break is there toward the top of the mountain. And just leaving his house was James Brumlow, a very smart and intelligent, good man, married to a woman named Jamie. There are 4 children between them in their household. And he had just gotten on the highway and ran head on into Justin Whaley, a man with connections, a man who is an insider. I would say a police insider. My story broke at Nuganomics about this case, and the question I raised was not so much the delay in being charged. The delay in the charges came, I would say, primarily because of the charges being through the commercial statute and not through the criminal statute in Title 39. This is David Toulis. What's on your mind?
I just want to say this man is innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
So unless all these facts are established, this is what the media is reporting and the police is reporting.
Well, thanks for calling, Brian. He's legally innocent, but he was involved in the accident.
Any of this happened until they present that evidence. Okay,
well, yeah, but he, as his attorney says, he was at the scene of the crime for hours as the police, Jeff Gann and Saudi Daisy, and Sergeant Workman were handling the investigation and the cleanup of the 2 wrecked cars. So it's not a question of who was there; it's a question of what happened legally. And the trial that's coming will be over multiple charges through the traffic statute of driving under the influence and so on. The delay in the charges being filed apparently are not from favoritism, as I have been suggesting, but from delay in the DUI test being returned from Nashville. However, there still is a problem in the delay in that whole system, whereas the Saudi Daisy police and Red Bank police shot dead a woman who had been not yielding properly according to the rules of the road and was chased down and shot dead. David Toulis, Radio.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
For the first time ever, Tennessee reached a tourism milestone. Visitors to Tennessee spent over $20 billion last year. Governor Haslam announced the record numbers, saying as part of the record-breaking year, nearly $2 billion in local and state sales tax were collected, something Tennessee relies heavily on since there's no state income tax. Found safe, the 4 children that were kidnapped in Lima, Ohio, had all eyes on communities along I-75, possibly headed to Florida, including Chattanooga. Police have arrested their non-custodial mother and her boyfriend. They hadn't traveled very far as they were found in Ohio. And there's a new recall involving Volkswagen. According to the NTSB, Volkswagen recalling 8,416 Atlas SUVs and Passat sedans because the brake caliper bracket mounting bolts may have not been tightened sufficiently. The recall on the Chattanooga-made vehicles expected to begin October 14th. Val St. John for Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7. Action News now.
Chattanooga weather. Expect partly cloudy, hot, and humid weather out there for your afternoon. A few isolated showers and storms, though, will pop up. Highs upper 80s to near 90 tonight. A lingering shower or storm possible through midnight. tonight, low 70 to 72 with scattered showers and storms a little more likely for Thursday and Friday. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special world famous sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, and Ringgold. Go get Guthrie's, it's always good. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Join Nuga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships as well as after-school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
My ex recently hacked my email and my social media, and it really caused me some problems. I changed all my passwords, which helped, but I'm still getting trolled, maybe even stalked. I know it's him. I just can't prove it.
My business, well, it's been broken into twice already. I've got cameras, but that only helps after the fact. I'd rather prevent it from happening in the first place.
Unity One East is your solution to these and many other security concerns. With private investigation, security services, and backed by decades of real-life experience in military and law enforcement, Unity One East is your instant contact for security, investigation, and consultation to help protect you, your family, and your business. No 1-800 number, no red tape, no wait, because Unity One East is local and available 24/7. Reclaim your peace of mind. Call Unity One East, 475-6206, 475-6206.
Call 423-875-3600 if you're looking to expand your professional look of your business. Then consider the vast opportunities that are available when you locate your office with the Rains Group family. Remember, it's location, location, location. And the Rains Group has the location for your professional office. Check out the spaces for lease at Executive Business Park on the Lee Highway. Small or large, we will be able to suit your needs with the Rains Group. Call 423-875-3600 for the business professionals with the Rains Group.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick in money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McCarty Ford at FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne.